good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are, whatever you're doing, how y'all doing? It's Kaiser, and to all of y'all out there, hope you guys out there, you dads, have happy Father's Day, because it was a good weekend for me. I got to do pretty much nothing the entire weekend, and it was glorious. Didn't do much except sleep in, go fishing, and eat barbecue food en masse. And you know what? I call that a dad win right there. But you know what also is a crazy win going on right now? Disney. I didn't think I'd hear myself say it either, but I mean, here I am, just like, well, as I said before, I've said it many times, when Disney does something good, I will praise it. If they do something freaking stupid, I will decry the absolutely ever-living crap out of it. And well, today is that day. I'm going to have to give Disney props on something, so buckle up, cuz
shit's about to get fucky.
It's definitely a weird thing to be sitting in this position. I'm just, yeah, having to kind of look at this and go, wow, didn't expect that to happen, but here we are. So Inside Out 2 was the movie that was out in the box office this weekend. The big one that definitely took the most win. Interestingly enough, whenever this movie was projected, it was projected with a range to bring in between 85 to 115 million at the box office, which is a fairly respectable number, but kind of more in line with the lower numbers that we've been seeing here recently in the last couple of months. But then this happened, with Inside Out absolutely shattering every box office expectation, bringing in a massive $155 million in the biggest box office debut since last year's Barbie.
Emotional damage!
Yeah, it was pretty wild to see. And you know what? Wow. Disney coming out with another huge win like this makes me really kind of wonder what is wrong in the multiverse right now, because holy crap, that's a wild story.
Looks like I picked the wrong week to quit sniffing glue.
Well, let's go over here to Deadline. Deadline's got a pretty good breakdown of this, and I do want to get into a lot of the box office numbers and a lot of the inside out information, if you know what I mean. So, yeah, Deadline here is saying Pixar comes alive. Inside Out 2 turns out box office right side up with second best animated pick opening of all time, $155 million. And we're just going to get right into it. Let me just embiggen that here for y'all. So, okay. Make it easier for me to read and for you. So, Disney Pixar's Inside Out 2 is coming in at the high range of what we told you last night, 155 million domestic, and overall mind-blowing 295 million global. By far the biggest Hollywood movie opening, both stateside and around the world year-to-date, besting Dune Part 2, they're 182.5 million, and Godzilla x Kong: The New Empire at 194 million. As we told you, Inside Out 2 is domestic opening box office the second best for an animated movie behind Pixar's The Incredibles, 182.6 million. The final domestic gross on the sequel is projected by rivaling distribution bosses to be easily in excess of $500 million in the end. So, now I do want to make a quick note of something that they said here, because this is actually very important to note, and we need to take this into account these days. So, right here where it says that this is the second biggest opening for an animated movie ever, right next to Pixar's Incredibles 2. The Incredibles 2 pulled in 182.6 million opening box office weekend money. 182.6 million, that's a lot of money. That's actually really, really good. But one thing to also note there is that when that movie came out, so there's some funny math going on there. There's some funny math going on there, and I do want to make sure there's, because The box office in 2018, when The Incredibles 2 debuted, is not the same box office today in 2024. Prices are a lot more inflated. You have a lot more money. It costs significantly more. I think ticket prices have jumped 10% in the last 8 to 12 months alone. Yeah, 10% in 8 to 12 months. And that's not counting all the other inflation. Yeah, pretty much 2020 to present that has happened because of all the stuff in the economy. So, honestly, when you would, I mean, if in the absolute just like here and now numbers, yeah, the current number, yeah, from Disney and Pixar's Inside Out 2 is very high. It is the second highest. And yeah, here's the thing though, when you adjust for inflation, it's going to go down a little bit. I mean, that's just something that we have to note there. In the interest of being intellectually honest, I do have to make that notation there. But, you know, I'm just trying to get that information around to you. There's more stuff to cover.
Get on with it.
Yes, get on with it!
Okay, so moving on with this here, getting into some of the information. So apparently PLFs and like IMAX, so premium, basically like premium movie theaters and IMAX drove out 43% of the business, with another 14% from 3D. AMC's Dine-In Disney Springs in Orlando, Florida remains the biggest grossing cinema for the pick in the nation at nearly 300,000 and counting. That's actually pretty substantial right there. And I mean, there's obviously going head on with the marketing here. So they go to on to mention some of the marketing information here, talking about how the trailer here, you know, last year reached 157 million views in 24 hours and got people excited by showing the first 35 minutes at CinemaCon earlier this year. A whole bunch of other things that they've done, marketing the absolute living daylights out of this movie. But let's be completely honest here, that's not what we're here about. Let's get into some of the information here. So let's break down some of the demographics. So apparently, Latino and Hispanic audiences made up 40% of the moviegoers, followed by 31% Caucasian, 13% Black, 10% Asian, 6% Native American other. Another indicator of walk-up business is that ComScore Screen Engine's post-track shows 62% of the audience purchased tickets the same day that they watch it. So 62% of the audience that went to see this really had not gone to see anything, and you know, I really not done anything other than just like day of tickets. They were not like booking these in advance or anything like that. So that's actually pretty good to see, because that means that there's some positive word of mouth going on here. So post-track exit polls, still huge, 89% positive, 71% definite recommend, 63% of women attending, and 21% of other under 12, between 32% and then between 13 to 17, which is the largest demo, was 51% between 18 to 34. So yeah, the demographics here are pretty interesting, with 51% of the audience between the 18 to 34 demographic. That's interesting there. I mean, audiences under 12, that was 32% of the audience, 13 to 17. Yeah. That's just pretty wild. Or sorry, 21% of the audience was under 12, 32% was 13 to 17, and what was their target demographic there was 13 to 17. And then 51% for ages 18 to 34. Again, very interesting breakdown there when you actually get into some of the demographics there. Now, one of the things that is being noted here is the chief reason why audiences went to see Inside Out 2 is because 46% of the crowd said it looked fun, while 34% of moviegoers are fans of the franchise, and a clear sign that Disney Plus family subscribers will continue to come out to great movies. Post-track noted that 52% of those who watched Inside Out 2 are subs to the Mouse House service, while 44% have Hulu, 43% have Prime Video, 66% have Netflix. If a Disney Plus subscriber were to wait to watch Inside Out 2 at home, their kids would experience immense fear of missing out, for these event films won't hit the streaming services for another 80 to 90 days, if not more. So, breaking that down, getting a little bit of information here. So, what really is fascinating to me on this one, probably the most interesting metric here, is that Disney, right here, they're trying to bury the lead in all these numbers and stuff, in a clear sign that Disney Plus family subscribers will continue to come out to great movies. Now, I want to go ahead and say there. Now, let me be completely upfront with you guys here. I have been saying since day one that if Disney dropped all of the identity politics, they had dropped all of the bull crap, they dropped all of the woke shit that was absolutely just driving audiences away, guarantee you people would show up. People would come to the movies. But how all the time we have heard nothing but, oh, well, people don't want to go to the movies because movie tickets are too expensive. They don't want to go to the movies because they'd rather watch it on streaming, or they would, the weather's too nice, or this is not really a cup of tea for the, family, or, we've heard so many excuses, so many that I can't even name all of them. Just excuse after excuse after excuse after excuse of why people are not showing up to the box office. Guess what? We just proved that all that is a whole lot of bullshit. Seriously, we just did it.
Bullshit or not?
Yeah. Seriously. We proved that this whole idea that they've been pushing is bullshit. Let's actually think about this logically for a second here. You have this movie. It's not going to be available on streaming for at least another 80 to 90 days while it's in theaters, okay? So you're not going to lose anybody to streaming. It's a big event. They've really done good with the marketing on this. They have actually marketed this with, as, hey, we're going to make this movie, and they're going to try and stick closer to the characters. We've got a lot of the things that people have been asking for so far, and people showed up. And a lot of things that people have been asking is like, well, is it woke? Well, we happen to actually have some information. And surprise, surprise, there is some interesting things to note in this. This courtesy of the direct. So with Pixar's Inside Out 2 now in cinemas, many are wondering whether the film deserves the woke complaints it received throughout its marketing period. Like many of Pixar's recent films, Inside Out 2 seems to have fallen victim to concerns that it will be heavy-handed with politically correct ideals and themes, but is it really, really woke? Well, let's get into some of this. I highlighted some things that that I think are very interesting. Inside Out 2 deals with themes of puberty and adolescence in a family-friendly way. Some darker aspects of the film deals with our mental health and the impact of anxiety. I do want to talk about that in a little bit. But both are handled carefully and with nuance. Concerns that the family may dig into Riley's sexuality are unfounded, as the theme sticks strictly to friendship. There is some talk that there's like a friendship that goes on between the protagonist and another girl on the hockey team that she's trying to get on, but it sticks strictly in the friendship area. There's no ambiguity there that it's anything other than just them being friends. Okay, and looking at the film objectively, Inside Out 2 is overall largely conservative with its themes. The direct here, they are very left-leaning, I will say. If anything, it probably could have afforded to go even harder in certain aspects. So that's telling me. So given the left lean that the direct has, if they're saying, look, this isn't woke, it's not hitting any of those woke things, and saying that if anything, they could have afforded to lean harder on some of those themes, that tells me that it's actually not very woke at all. And again, that means people are showing up to see it. It's absolutely freaking wild. So getting into the numbers here, Inside Out 2, right now, box office domestic is $155 million. International box office, $140 million for a worldwide take of $295 million against a $200 million production budget. Now, $200 million, that is a lot. I mean, I would say given the excessive media blitz that I have seen on this, like a lot of what they've been trying to kind of aim at here. So we're going to go with our 2.5 to about 3 times production budget metric. So we're going to say this probably needs in the ballpark of about, I would say, $500 to $600 million to break even. Okay. Want to make that 100% clear there. So 2.5 to 3%, or 2.5 to 3 times production budget, whatever you really consider all that together. Yeah, you're looking at about, yeah, like I said, about $500 to $600 million to break even. Its opening weekend, it pulled in almost $300 million. That's a pretty substantial gain right there. And it's only going to go up. I mean, this movie's already off to a really good start for Disney. This is already going to look like it's going to be a major win for them in 2024. And so going to the actual breakdowns of how everything played out here. So yes, this was the domestic chart for the weekend of June 14th. Inside Out, $255 million. Bad Boys Ride or Die brought in an additional $33 million. Very respectable numbers for a second weekend performance. Only a 42% drop from week 1 to week 2. That's an impressive feat in and of itself. Brought in a good chunk of money. Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes is continuing to drop off there with $5.2 million. Garfield still making some money with $5 million. The Watchers, 3.6, if $3.4 million. Furiosa down there in 7th place, still only bringing in $2.4 million. And it has dropped down to only about 1,800 screens, whereas Inside Out 2 is open to 4,400. I'm used to seeing somewhere around this number here, a little over 3,000, but this is a lot of screens right there. So all things considered, this movie's doing well. They've done a good job on this one. They leaned away from the woke. They tried to focus on family-friendly entertainment. They tried to make a decent movie that didn't hit all the things that we have been begging them to leave out of their movies. They actually listened for one time in their lives. And amazingly, it worked. They brought in a substantial amount of money. Second biggest animated feature opening ever, not adjusted for inflation. That's a pretty big deal. So I have to give Disney a lot of credit, a lot of props on this one. Hey, Disney, if you want to go back to making stuff like this, you want to go back to making stuff that, you know, actually is in that nice, sensible middle ground without delving into any of the identity politics or DEI or woke bullshit. It's amazing what people will do. They will go to see your movies. How many times have we been told by Disney and Hollywood in general that people are just not going to see movies anymore and that, oh, it's the death of the movie theater because of blah, 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 blah. And how many times, for how many years, how long, critics like myself have been sitting here saying, if you build it, they will come. If you give them good movies, they will fill the seats in your theaters again. And that, my friends, happened this weekend. And I am right here for it. I want to give Disney all the props to making a decent movie for a change. Yes, I said that. And I want you guys to let me know what you're thinking in the comment section down below. If you guys went and saw it this weekend, tell me about it. Tell me what your experience was. I want to hear about it. And hit that like button. If you're new here, hit that subscribe button. I've been noticing that some of you have been getting unsubscribed, so please ding that little bell down there. Make sure that you are subscribed for notifications, and I will see you in the next video. Peace.